Today I want to talk about the difference between a really good guitar versus a moderately priced guitar, not just in how it sounds and how it feels, but from the quality of the workmanship from a guitar repair guy's perspective. I'm Dave with Stringing Together, and let's dive in. This here is a Gibson J45, fairly famous guitar, very expensive. And I've actually had two of them come in right in a row, and then two 80s Strats come in right in a row, just coincidentally. And that's kind of what inspired this video, is just talking about the difference between working on, say, this guitar versus the last guitar that I worked on. And I'm going to start at the headstock here and work my way down and just talk about all of the different ways in which this is superior in build quality and a few ways in which it's lacking. Good tuners are not just good from a player's perspective, but from a repair perspective. They make things a lot easier. When I'm working on a really cheap guitar, you can just hear the gears grinding or feel them, and always have to oil them up, and then do some extra wraps around the tuning peg when I'm going back and forth trying to get a saddle intonated. For example, I have to detune, tune again, sometimes 5 or 6 times. Now, you might not think about this part, but this is actually the most challenging thing when working on cheap guitars versus working on good guitars, is how the frets are actually seated. So when I'm working on something like this, I can be pretty confident that if those frets are popped up, I can just give them a little tap with the hammer. I can't really stress the importance of having frets that are seated before you go with the level, because if they're not seated properly and they're popping up, that level is going to push them down, and then when the level's off, they're going to pop back up, giving you fret buzz. Now, I've got a method that you can download in the description called Foolproof Fretwork, and that'll show you how to do all of these steps: seating, assessing, seating, leveling, and crowning your frets. So you can go ahead and download that. Next is the truss rod. Now, on a guitar like this, when you adjust the truss rod, it's going to be almost an instant adjustment, which makes it very easy to level it off. Which, when you take the strings off, you need to make sure that you're accounting for the string tension that you've just released. Therefore, you need to adjust the truss rod. And with a cheap guitar, for whatever reason, I find some of them, they take a long time to adjust, sometimes a day. Even these will take a full day to fully set, but I find with something like this, it's pretty instant. Next is the saddle. Now, if you've ever taken out a saddle and tried to adjust it before, on a cheap guitar, it'll be made with this cheap, flimsy kind of plastic. This is sort of a composite. It's sort of similar to a Taylor style, but even still, I don't really understand why you would have a guitar with such fine craftsmanship and a plastic saddle. It's such a difference when you have a bone saddle compared to even something like this. And let me know in the comments below if you've ever played a guitar with a bone saddle and you can really hear the difference. I'd do the Pepsi challenge on that for sure. So here's something that's kind of a little bit surprising to me, which the J45 I had a couple days ago had this, but this one doesn't for some reason, which is a slight notch on the underside of the bridge pin hole. Now, what that does is it allows the string to lock in place, so you can actually hold it in there like that. And I did think it was odd because all of these bridge pins are kind of haphazardly sticking up as is. So this one doesn't have it, so I might add that in. So to fix that, you can just take an old scroll saw blade, or this is actually a little mini hacksaw blade that I just ground down, and then you just want to work at working at an angle here, and you want to make a little notch underneath. What you want is a little notch underneath there, so that the ball end of the string is actually hooked underneath the soundboard, and that way it's transferring the vibration more effectively from the string into the soundboard. And if you want to check out another video about hearing the difference between a plastic saddle and a bone saddle and the right height and how that affects the tone quality, then you can go ahead and check out this video. Obviously, there's more that goes into building a solid guitar, like the bracing, the type of wood, but that's a topic for another video. And there's just one more thing that's great about working on good guitar, is you get to play it. See you next week.